is happening. It's finally happening!
I've been waiting for this moment since my childhood.
The Gaming Lovers Podcast with Brendo and Jem.
Long time no see or no hear or whatever sense you're using at the moment to experience the Gaming Lovers Podcast episode 100.
We don't have time for this introduction because this is momentous. We have been waiting for years for this game, and it is here. It has been announced. It has been announced.
Settle your little tea kettle. I am Brendo.
I'm Jem, and who cares? Pokemon Snap, ladies and gentlemen, has finally been announced. A new Pokemon Snap.
That's literally the name of the game in typical Nintendo fashion.
I have been
new
begging.
Pokemon Snap.
I have been whinging. I have been ranting about a new Pokemon Snap game since we started this podcast, and it's finally happening. Now we have achieved our goal. The podcast does no longer need to exist because I have annoyed Nintendo enough to get what I want. Thank you very much.
A, I don't think that's quite how it happens. B, I didn't sign up for that.
That's the whole point that we made this podcast, was just to get Pokemon Snap made, and it's achievement done. Bleep bloop.
New Pokemon Snap.
Yes.
New Pokemon Snap.
And the trailer was amazing because you see. Oh, we'll talk about it later because we've got, gaming goals.
You were bursting. You were bursting.
There is so much gaming news, though. As we're doing this fortnightly now, there's been a lot of gaming news that's dropped. Some wonderful, like the new Pokemon Snap, and Nintendo's also under fire for some other stuff, though. Like, they had a good and bad week simultaneously. So we're going to get to all of that, all the exciting news from the gaming community in the past fortnight, plus how we're coping with Player 3 in our world now, little baby Alistair. I don't think we remembered to even say his name last time.
Well, he was Player 3, officially.
It's codename Player 3.
It's on the birth certificate.
That's his middle name.
So how have the gaming lovers been adopting the video game hobby to integrate with newfound parenthood? We'll find out in our segment of Give Me a G.
G.
Give me an A.
A.
Give me an M.
M.
That's going to take too long. It's gaming goals.
We've actually managed to play more video games than I thought we would.
That's very surprising, isn't it? I found it quite surprising. It can be hit. It can be miss. It all depends on when Player 3 is awake and interrupting one's plans for the day. But
Yes.
Big news, because in this past fortnight, one of the biggest games that has been on the radar
For a while.
has been played a lot. We have enjoyed it. Long sessions. It's been talk of the town. We're talking about Disneyland Adventures on the Xbox One. Disneyland Adventures.
Well, you can't go to the real Disneyland right now. It was supposed to open soon, in California anyway, and it's been delayed again. I'm so grateful that we did get to go there in person last year.
Yes.
Before all this happened. But we got together. We're limited in how many family and friends we can have over at a time at the moment. Unfortunately, where we live in Australia, in Melbourne, the cases have spiked a little bit again. So we've got tighter restrictions again. Huzzah!
Yay.
So with the limited family that we could have over, we have done virtual Disney days. We dressed up. We donned our Minnie and Mickey ears. We wore all our theme park merchandise. We tried to recreate some of the, theme park food. Hot dogs and pretzels.
We paid hundreds of dollars for the experience.
And we played the Xbox game Disneyland Adventures, which kind of replicates most of the Disneyland park from California. Some of the rides are kind of missing, so it's a little bit limited, but it does a good job of a virtual experience of walking around the park. And I tell you what, we were starved for a bit of Disney entertainment that we were all like, oh my gosh, remember we ate there at that exact place? We got a little too excited over the simple things in that game.
It does sound goofy, and that's not a Disney pun. I didn't even mean that one. But look, when it comes down to it, we love Disney, you and I.
Oh, yes.
All your immediate family does, and I'm friends with all your immediate family. So it seemed like a good way for us to have a little outing out of the house, play some games together, have a good time, keep the kids entertained as well, to varying degrees of success. And look, I had a great time. I have to admit, this game is on the Xbox Game Pass, but I paid good hard-earned money for this game, a whole like $4 Australian months ago, figuring it might be a good way to keep a kid entertained for 30 minutes. And it turned out the adults enjoyed it far more.
Especially because there's hidden Mickeys, and when we're there in the parks in person, we love trying to find all the hidden Mickeys. And knowing that they are in the game as well. They're a little bit more obvious in the game, but you still have to like take photos of them and collect them. We thought this would be the kind of game we could almost beat in a day. And it turns out it's huge. And there's lots of fetch quests and lots of collectibles that take a mammoth amount of time to get. So it's actually not the easiest game to beat.
And there is no fast pass to get to the end as fast as possible. Gameplay-wise, let me just make this clear. It's not exactly an enthralling, state-of-the-art, quality game. But there were some unique criticisms from your family in particular.
Yes. I think my sisters were annoyed that you could have co-op, right? And the second person couldn't really do much. They could jump and they could do the interactions with the characters when you went up and gave them hugs and high fives. But you couldn't change the second person's outfit. So the first person, you can buy Disney costumes and all sorts of fun stuff, but you can't equip them on player 2. And that bugged them because they spent coins getting the Buzz and Woody costumes and they wanted them to walk around it in both, you know? And it would not let player 2 wear the other one. So that felt a little bit mean. And maybe we just didn't know how to change that.
Look, it's a very complex game, obviously. It's designed for like 8-year-olds.
But it was just one of those little things that if you can't do it, and maybe we're just stupid and we didn't realize how to change it, but it seems like a bit of an oversight, personally.
Now, your sister Mel in particular was annoyed that the rides were not actually just sit in your seat and enjoy the scenery. It was much more detailed than that. We're whacking alligators with canoe oars in the Pirates of the Caribbean. We are flying through space, dodging asteroids. In the Buzz Lightyear Star Command mission, we are doing all these sorts of amazing Disneyland adventures. And it's not just sitting down and getting spinal injuries from a rough roller coaster. There's much more to this game as far as the attractions go. But I think the most unique criticism came from the good brother, Mr. Steve, who is a completionist at heart, if not within the scope of his abilities with his daily schedule. But we used to act together, as the kids call it. We used to collect achievements, 100%. Any game that we wanted to play, we would get every little collectible, tick the boxes, pop those achievies, make us happy. Just to get one task done in this Disneyland Adventure game required 3 different missions to be achieved. Fill out this person's signature book. Easy peasy. It seems you just find Minnie, Mickey, Donald, Goofy, blah, blah, blah. Piece of cake. Oh, but Donald needs his hat, which is on the Matterhorn. So go do the Matterhorn and get that. But when you're on the way there, make sure you stop by because Jessie has a note for Woody who's got to find the horseshoes. And it's like The Witcher 3. Every quest led into 6 others. And just like a true Disneyland experience, there is not enough time in the day to get everything done that you want to get done.
Yes, that's how they do it. That's why you spend more money by coming back for another day. It was really fun though in a way to just collectively wander around, see the landmarks, see the characters, and I think for those who are familiar with the parks would in a weird way get more out of this game than someone that's never been. You know, it almost feels a little mean if you gave that to like a kid or someone that's never been and a family that can't afford to go to Disney and be like, oh, well, here you go. This is the next best thing.
It's not the next best thing.
I feel like it'd be taunting them. Whereas it's more fun if you've been and then you can kind of use it as a way to trigger those fond memories and nostalgia that you have linked with it.
Yep, and in true Disneyland experience, you start bickering over what the best way is to get to Splash Mountain. No, go through Frontierland.
Oh, that reminds me. Big Disney news side note, because you mentioned Splash Mountain. Splash Mountain is changing to Princess and the Frog.
I do like Splash Mountain. As long as the
no
track
more
follows
zippity
the same
doodah.
pathway.
I'm sure the track will stay the same. I don't imagine they're going to refurbish it that heavily. But the theming is going to change to Princess and the Frog, so we'll have a new song to get stuck in our head now.
As long as there is a mountain and it splashes, I'm happy. I'm happy. Anyway.
So long as there's beignets. That's what I want. Give me beignets, please.
Here we go again with the beignets.
They're freaking delicious.
Now, if I may, we may move on.
Okay.
Because, look, I'm sure as exciting as Disneyland Adventures is, it's not the reason. It's not the main game that's been making impacts this week.
Mm-hmm.
And those impacts have been with the sharp end of a hammer in an eye socket. It is The Last of Us Part 2. I claimed I would have no time. No need to go out and rush and buy the newest game now that I have a newborn, because I probably won't have time to play it. Turns out I have a condition that requires me to buy certain games on launch day, and this was one of them. So I have been playing a lot, surprisingly, a lot, of The Last of Us Part 2.
Mm-hmm. We've been trying to give you some relaxation time because you're still on your annual leave. So I wanted to make sure that it wasn't all daddy duty. So we've made a concentrated effort
Duty.
tried to give you some, like, even if it's just an hour here and there to play.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's been we've been taking kind of shifts with Player 3 as far as sleeping shifts. So sometimes when you're up doing the red eye, the late night to early morning kind of hours, sometimes he'll sleep for you. Sometimes. And that means you can play games while I'm asleep. And because if I'm honest, I have no interest in even really watching The Last of Us Part 2 because I know how brutal it was going to be. I knew it was going to ramp up as far as gore. And the last one was hard enough to sit through some of that.
The last of us.
Yes. So I had a feeling like this one just looked a lot darker, and that's definitely been the consensus from a lot of reviews and critics and even fans, that this is definitely a darker tone. So part of me is like, you know what? I don't need to be the backseat driver in this one. I don't have to sit and watch you play. I can do without.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, last night the sweet boy blessed me with a 3.5 hour gaming session, which has been almost unprecedented in the past 3 weeks.
That's so rare.
I was very happy with that though, because it was good to sink into a video game. And I mentioned in the last episode that when baby needs attention immediately, when baby needs changing, feeding, whatever, I can't play a game that I can get partway through a large mission and then stop. Like Dark Souls has no pause function. Mm-hmm. It's not suitable for this phase of my life. Sorry, Dark Souls 2. But at least with this, I can pause during cutscenes. I can pause during gameplay. I can restart a checkpoint if needed, just like that. It tells you how many minutes your last checkpoint would cost you on the restart checkpoint menu option, which is kind of cool. Speaking of options, before I get into any specifics of the gameplay, there will be no spoiler details, because that's not what we do here. Mm-hmm. But accessibility options in this game, I've never seen anything to the degree of this. If you have any sort of handicapped vision, sound, like hearing, controller issues as far as your ability to multitask buttons or do quick time events, all of those can be altered or turned off completely, recalibrated. You can have little indicators that vibrate when a collectible's near you if your vision isn't that sharp to see them, for example. You have the ability to limit the falling off ledges, so you can't fall off any ledge that will kill you if you're a bit rough with the controller, for example. Lots and lots and lots and lots of visual things for color blindness, all sorts of graphical options, subtitle size. This is phenomenal, and every game should have this many options. How many times have you played a game and the subtitles are just too small? That's an easy fix. But Naughty Dog have gone above and beyond with like dozens and dozens and dozens of accessibility options. And I think that is great because it will allow more people to play it. And when there's people like yourself who don't want to play it based off its strength of violence and content, it allows them to broaden the net, shall we say.
If only there was a way to switch off all the gore and violence, but then there wouldn't be much of a game.
No, it really wouldn't be. The Last of Us, gameplay-wise, has got all my favourite things, I have to admit. It's got well-executed stealth. Stealth can be an albatross in some games. Stealth executed well is enjoyable to me. It has high-tension, spooky areas, which is appealing to me. It has scavenging for supplies, looting through every little nook and cranny in every given building that you can find, which appeals to me. And you can eat loose pills off a bathroom floor, which appeals to me. That's everything that I want in a game. Why have you gone quiet?
Delicious. Oh, what is this game doing to you?
Well, it's just you find supplements to get new abilities. You get...
Yeah, that sounds like a good enough reason to eat just random pills off a floor.
Hey, supplies are limited in this game.
Okay,
some reviewers find it tedious to, rummage around through an entire kitchen and find half a rag and 4 drops of fuel, which gets you part of the way towards making a Molotov, but not all the way. I find that appealing because this is what the setting is. Everything's been looted. This economy has not existed for decades, and there is nothing around. So you need to find bits and pieces. You enter a combat phase, you might have 2 handgun bullets, a rifle shot, a Molotov, and that's all you have. And a melee weapon, maybe, if you're blessed. And that's all you have. And you have to make do with what you have. And after that combat, when everything's calmed down again, you can go through and rummage around in all the little nooks and crannies to find more bits to replenish what you've just used everything. That is cool to me. And I don't know why people find it, it's so boring and tedious. And you can get out of a section in 30 seconds. But I spend, 10 minutes looking around in every building, every room, every drawer. And I like to look at stuff like that in games. I love to explore areas. And the areas in this game are phenomenal as far as their design and their aesthetics. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's dark. It's grisly. The story has some... no spoilers, obviously, but it has a style that is in some ways similar to the first game and in some ways very different. But overall, I'm having a great time with The Last of Us Part 2. And it's the sort of game that I know spoilers were out there. I know that spoilers are always a danger with something so story-based and character-based and plot-driven. And I want to play through it as quickly as I can so that no spoilers can affect me. And so that is my plan. I'm just going to barrel through this while still enjoying it to every degree that I can possibly get out of it.
As far as some of the twists and turns, without going into spoilers, there's been, I think, a pretty heavy divide with fans of whether they've liked the approach to the gameplay and some of the new characters that have been introduced. How are you feeling as far as that, without going into details so that we don't, for those who maybe haven't had a chance to play yet?
A game like this where I know I'm going to play it and I know I want to enjoy it and have no preconceived notions, no hints of anything that can spoil me, I have avoided all of the controversy as much as possible. So I don't know who has complaints with what specifically, but, if a game is too similar to its predecessor, it gets accused of being stale.
Yep.
So they have to mix up the formula to some degree. And everything from gameplay to crafting to the way you level up, it all has evolved slightly.
Yeah.
And so the story as well evolves slightly and is told in a different manner to what the first game has.
Yeah.
And so far it's on track for me giving it 2 thumbs up as far as story execution and content and everything that is involved in that. But until I've finally finished it, this could be a Mass Effect 3 situation where it's the last 5% of the game that just falls over on its face and just ruins everything. And that's a game where I knew there was controversy before I played it, and I didn't want that to alter my perspective on the game, which is why I've just avoided... I know that the critic reviews are very high for The Last of Us Part 2, but the fan reviews have been quite low, to the point where on Metacritic, Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 is a higher rated fan-scored game than The Last of Us Part 2.
Wow.
That, as a Sonic the Hedgehog fan included, is hot garbage and cannot stand up. And that is why when people have opinions, everyone is entitled to their opinions, but sometimes people are stupid with their opinions.
Yes. Or get caught up on one aspect of something and take it out on a game. Like they may not like one character, for example, and decide that the rest of the game is garbage because they just don't like this one character.
Yeah.
You know, which feels a little unfair. I mean, if it's the protagonist, if it's the main character that the story revolves around, then maybe that's okay to not like it so much. I don't know. It's one of those things that like I feel like I can't comment myself because, I mean, I've heard some of the complaints, but I haven't played it myself and I don't plan to. So I feel like I'd kind of lose any right I have to an opinion.
Well, you can have an opinion to a lesser degree than if you have actually played it.
Yeah.
I've had this argument with somebody over Final Fantasy 13 years ago where they were criticising a game they hadn't even played because they were criticising it based off someone else's criticisms, not their own.
Yeah.
I have criticisms over Final Fantasy 13, but I overall enjoyed it despite its flaws.
Yeah.
And with a game like this, The Last of Us is considered a masterpiece as far as critical acclaim, but a lot of people who have their own notions of what it should be didn't like it. And you should enjoy a game for what it is, not for what you think it should be a lot of the time. You should grade a game, you should review a game based off how well it executes what it set out to do, not what you think it should have set out to do.
But then that's the exact criticism that Mass Effect 3 got, where everyone got upset because it didn't end the way that they wanted it to, with multiple different endings, whereas they had a very slightly more linear way of doing things in the end.
And I wouldn't have minded that if it wasn't just paint by numbers, here's a different colour.
Yeah.
That was the criticism.
The argument that the studio came back with was, this is the vision that we had for this game and this is how we wanted to tell the story. So I'm just using your own words against you. Like you had expectations of what you thought it should have been by that point, and so did many other fans. That's why it got such heat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it happens with TV shows. We're getting off topic here. It does happen with TV shows where someone's like, oh, this show's so good, but the last season's terrible.
Yeah.
The finale's so disappointing. Know that going into it. And you're like, don't tell me that. Now I don't want to watch the first 7 seasons and get myself invested and then have my hopes dashed at how crap it's going to end.
Oh, see, and that's what, like, I think one prime example, if we're talking about TV, How I Met Your Mother is one of those ones that gets brought up a lot. But I actually really liked, as sad as it is, I really liked the ending because it's based on a true story. So they stuck to their guns. They didn't change it to just appease to the crowd and what the fans wanted. They stuck to what the original plan was. And it makes sense. Like when all the hints that were dropped seasons ahead of time come into place and it wraps up nicely. So anyways, I think that that's important because sometimes it does happen in the gaming industry too, where something gets leaked and then something gets changed last minute.
To counter the leak.
Exactly, and then it ruins what would have been a really solid ending. And I think that did happen a little bit with Mass Effect too. But anyways.
Well, I'm always about, here's your director of the project. This is their vision for the game. And if they're happy with it, that's what the game should be. And look, Neil Druckmann, he's an evil man because you collect collectible cards and there's one for an evil villain called Dr. Uckman, and he pushes the humans to their limit, according to the description of the card. Beyond what any human should be able to endure, he makes them suffer. And that is like a reflection of the crunch time, maybe, in development. Good fun. I like when people can make fun of themselves in the games.
Yes.
I don't even know if I answered your question earlier, but whatever. I'm having fun with The Last of Us
That's all that matters.
As much as sadness and brutality can be fun.
Yeah. There's too much dog killing as well for me. I think that's been one of the other things I've seen a lot of. Everyone's like upset at just how many dogs they have to kill and how realistic it is too. Like, I think that's where I mean, there's some violence in video games I can handle, like fighting games, certain fighting games, not all fighting games. Cartoony-ish or things that aren't quite so graphic. But especially, realistically having to kill a dog, I understand in the context of the situation that is, life and death. But I don't want to watch it.
I'm a cat person, so I have no problems.
Oh, I love dogs.
Have you found any time to play video games while baby is sleepies?
A little bit. Sometimes even just when he's kind of on my lap. I've been playing a bit of Dragon Age Inquisition. And the good thing is if I need to get up suddenly, if I'm in the middle of like a conversation, I can just leave it idling on my next choice and it will sit there for ages.
The awkward 8-minute pause in a conversation when you ask them a question and they just stare at you for 8 minutes.
Inquisitor? Hello? So it's very, very ideal, I think, especially for my tired brain, to kind of go back and play something I'm familiar with. I don't have to think about story choices heavily or anything like that. I'm just doing what I'm comfortable with and what I'm enjoying. It's kind of like rewatching a TV series that I love. And the gameplay is easy and, there are Mabari that I have to kill in it, but then it's not so grisly, so it's okay.
I'm more of a Wyvern person myself, so I have no problem killing Mabari.
I always feel guilty, though, when those little fennec, run through a fight. I'm trying to get rid of some bandits, and this little fennec hops through the middle of the battlefield and gets hit by, a stray blast of ice or something. And
you're a monster. You think I'm bad for slicing people's throats with a shiv, and you blow up a fennec with ice blasts.
Aww.
Who's the real monster? Probably me.
I think that is the point of The Last of Us 2, is trying to make you confront a lot of those violent choices. Anyways, it's been nice to actually say that we've played some games. Didn't make any promises last time because I wasn't sure I would have the energy or time, but I think we've managed to find a bit of a balance. It's going to be a little different though in a fortnight as we prepare for you to go back to work.
Oh boy, the only 8 hours we have together will be separated even further.
Yes.
Awesome.
Wonderful. We'll be back after a short break with all the latest in Nintendo and gaming news.
You're listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. Want to join the conversation? Visit thegaminglovers.com. Record your comment or question by clicking on the button on the right-hand side, and you could be featured in the next podcast.
Well, I'm so excited for this news segment because do you know why? Do you know why I'm so excited about this episode's news segment?
No.
Okay, well, normally when we used to record weekly, I would go, okay, it's Tuesday, something interesting's happened. Okay, it's Thursday, something interesting's happened, and I'll talk about those two things when we record our podcast. Easy peasy. Well, it's been 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm incredibly sleep deprived. I've forgotten all the news and announcements that were made this week.
I know what you're excited for.
It's going to be all new and exciting for me as I hear these things.
You're excited for Pokemon Smile, an app that helps you to brush your teeth.
Look, yes, I am, okay? I will gamify anything. And if brushing teeth allows me to get experience points and catch Pokemon, I am all for it.
Maybe it'll be something we use for Player 3 when he gets old enough to learn how to brush his teeth.
Is that not one of the strangest combinations of things? Someone at a Pokemon meeting says, what's our next great app?
It's been a bit of a hit, though.
What if we brush teeth?
And it's free, so I think that's already out now. In Super Smash news, we got to see which characters from ARMS, woohoo, was selected, and the creator of ARMS wanted Min Min, not the main guy, who I believe is like a support character in the fight. But he thought Min Min would be the most interesting. And some of the things looked interesting, but
I have no connection,
No.
no emotional attachment to ARMS.
yeah.
I would prefer snipper clips in Smash Brothers.
I was more excited for one of the Mii costumes Vault Boy.
Yeah, baby. Throw out that mini nuke. Just kill them all. Some of those Mii fighter costumes in Smash Brothers have been like, oh, that's so cool, but I wish they were actually like properly in the game.
I know, sometimes they're better than the big character reveals that they do. So that, for us, that got the real pop in the reveal. It was kind of cool getting to see Sakurai's lounge room as he recorded from home in this COVID world that we live in now.
With his 2 giant TVs next to each other.
Yes, that setup looks so good. On all the different consoles. You'll note there were a couple of PlayStations. I could not see in that brief flicker of time any Xbox consoles.
How dare he? What a turncoat traitor to Nintendo, owning Sony products. Shameful.
You think he'd get an Xbox after the partnership with Banjo-Kazooie? Maybe there was one, but in that brief flicker...
It hasn't been opened yet.
I couldn't see it. I definitely spotted PlayStation, though. Pokemon Cafe Mix...
This sounds
launched.
right up your alley.
Oh, it's on my phone already. It is definitely one of those. It's a typical mobile game. It's on the Switch as well, but you can only play in handheld mode, not on a big screen.
Well, it requires touch screen, so that's probably why.
There would be ways to
No.
manipulate that with a stick and
No.
pressing a button if they wanted to.
Unacceptable. This is Nintendo. You must have waggle. You must have touch screen.
Yep. It's an interesting puzzle game. It's quirky, I think, the way that they make it shuffle. It's kind of like mixing soup.
Yeah, just what I saw on the trailer didn't really look like it was too strategic.
No.
It's just make a big spiral and connect all the things. Yay, you did it. Have a Charmander with a cute chef hat. Okay,
Yes.
I'll play it.
I mean, obviously with these puzzle games, it always starts off extremely easy, and I blitzed through the first several levels. But then there's always a bit of a spike in difficulty because they want you to be motivated or frustrated enough to pay for things to be sped up again.
Yes, and don't forget, you can only use so much energy before it must recharge, unless you pay real money.
Mm-hmm.
Which is always the way. Always the way. Predatory.
One thing I was super excited to see was the amiibo for Joker.
At long last.
Yes, we've been waiting so long for him. I was wanting to get him as like a surprise present for you like last year and it never came out. So it almost feels like a little late. I feel like we've lost the Persona steam. I don't know. But it does look very cool. Some of the amiibos look really chumpy, but some that they release look really good.
Yeah. This is definitely on the plus side.
Yes. Some interesting news. A report came out, Nintendo planning on cutting back on some of their mobile games after the success of Animal Crossing.
Oh.
So Animal Crossing's done so well, partially because of the lockdown with COVID. So they've realised, hey, yes, it is worth investing money in our actual consoles and not just all mobile games. Huzzah!
Not everyone wants to brush their teeth with a Pikachu's tail.
Oh, dear.
Oh, that makes me so happy. That's got to be the first time I've actually heard someone say that like, investing in console games is going to be better
Beneficial.
than mobile trash.
Well, I think they've realised that with a good, solid game and one that they can update as frequently as Animal Crossing has been getting updates. I mean, now people will be able to go swimming and diving and all sorts of extra stuff on the island. So that's very exciting. And with the advent of being able to connect online, there is much more stuff that can just be fed into the game as you go. So essentially you can have a lot of money-making ability in a console game as you would a mobile, which is slightly dangerous territory, but...
And now you watch all the parents who were kids when Pokemon Snap originally came out on the Nintendo 64. When that launches, you know there's going to be a lot of copies of that sold too.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Pokemon Snap!
New Pokemon Snap.
I'm so excited. I watched that trailer so many times.
Did you like the fact that Magikarp is going to be eaten by a bird of prey?
I think I missed that though. In all my viewings, I did not pick that up, which I feel a bit bad about.
Horrifying.
I was just so happy seeing the apple getting thrown to Pikachu, a bit of a nod to the original game. One of the first levels that you do along the beach, and you throw apples to lure him over to the surfboard. So I wonder if there'll be a few little replicas, I guess, of classic shots from the first game redone in this new one. But it's exciting because there's, all these new Pokemon to take photos of. You got Whale Lord breaching and it looks so much fun and this is the kind of games that I want.
When Pokemon Snap launched, there was only one generation of Pokemon.
Yeah.
151 to choose
And
from.
they weren't even in the game.
There was 63
Yeah, they were going to do 64.
in that game.
They were
So
supposed to be 64.
now we have almost 1,000 Pokemon to choose from. We have them across all generations because we've seen them in the trailer. Mm-hmm. How many are going to be in there? I want at least
All
a
of
couple
them.
hundred.
I want all of them.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, but I want all of them. They can keep updating it. That's the thing. It is a game, it's unlike the 64. You can have extra DLC or, free expansions and stuff and add extra levels, unlockables, things like that as you go. It doesn't all have to be in there at launch. And that would give it, I'll add a little longevity to the game's life, I think, if you were adding more Pokemon as you go.
Yeah. I'll tell you what a week for Nintendo with all their positive feedback, with all of these Pokemon announcements. Can they do anything wrong at this point?
Yes, they can.
Yes, they can. Absolutely, they can.
Oh, man.
Rule number 1 of preparing to promote a product. Never overhype the fact that you're going to make a major announcement for this franchise. How many times has that backfired for people?
So many times. So it was described as an unprecedented opportunity and challenge. And they, in their Pokemon Presents, they did 2 different videos. The first one had Pokemon Snap, and that obviously went over really well. And people cared more about that news than any of the announcements with the Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC stuff.
Pokemon Sword DLC Season Pass and Pokemon Shield DLC Season Pass. Make sure you announce it correctly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because there have been people buying the wrong pass, and Nintendo are very strict with their refund policies, so you must announce it as Pokemon Sword Expansion Pass and Pokemon Shield Expansion Pass.
Apologies.
Do not combine the two. There's no Pokemon Sword and Shield Expansion Pass.
Sorry. So with the second Pokemon Presents video, Pokemon Unite was announced. So it's a first team battle game. It's free to start gameplay, which is very key wording there.
Those words make me sick to my stomach.
That's the same way they describe the Cafe Mix game. Basically, kind of like a mobile game, but there's gonna be some walls hit or pay to play-esque mechanics in there, and it got so many dislikes on YouTube in a day. I think it was like 150,000 dislikes. It broke the record that Nintendo had previously had. Not great.
They've done lots of different styles of Pokemon games in the past. The Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games are like dungeon crawlers. You've got grid-based combat with the Pokemon Conquest game on the DS. We've had lots of different styles of Pokemon games, so it's not that they have milked this cow dry. This is an abomination, this style of game. But apparently, Pokemon can go into the wrong genres, and this is not welcome.
No. It's on mobile as well as Switch. It's obviously not out yet, but it's...
They want a piece of that League of Legends pie.
I don't know. I think there's definitely an audience for it in certain countries. I feel like the West have had their fill of this kind of stuff and we're kind of getting sick of it. But they do pretty well over in Korea and the like. A lot of these team-based games. So maybe it won't do well over here, but it might do really well, throughout Asia.
One other factor is a lot of these Pokemon games that are free to start, free to play, they all start off pretty lame. But as the months roll on, they make improvements. Pokemon Go was exactly like that.
True.
I can't even remember the other name of that Pokemon game I had on my phone where I was doing battles. What was that even called? It's gone in one ear and out the other.
Pokemon Quest.
No, not even that one. I've forgotten about Pokemon Quest. Pokemon something that I was
I
playing
don't
last
know.
year. Oh, I don't even know what it was.
Go listen to old episodes of the podcast and refresh your memory.
You remember Pokemon something? But that was also bad at the start, and then they introduced more features to make it better. So I'm sure this will be similar. Even if it's not well received, it will make them millions of dollars because people can't help but loosen their wallets when it comes to online mobile games.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will see Pokemon become the most profitable thing that Nintendo's ever done, and they'll go, oh, maybe we don't have to make more Animal Crossing style games on the Switch. And then we'll be stuck in our cycle of microtransactions and stupid free-to-start games. Sorry. Fires me up.
Share the love. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegaminglovers.
Let's get off the Pokemon wagon.
Yes, let's get our buns out. Sun's out, buns out.
Free DLC coming to Overcooked 2. I believe it's going to launch mid-July on Steam first, and then it will come to consoles shortly thereafter. That hasn't been given a date, so we don't know exactly when we will get a chance to play it. We usually play on the PlayStation. I'm excited, though, because free DLC, yes,
I love
please.
Overcooked 2 now.
Yeah, it's become a bit of a flip that you've done. It's
Brendo from 100 episodes ago absolutely hated Overcooked 2, and it has been quite the journey.
So we're gonna enjoy some extra time in the kitchen. It'll be a nice short burst gameplay for when player 3 is having some naps. Yay. Some exciting news for Cuphead fans.
Cuphead! I did like Cuphead.
It's coming to Netflix. What? That's right. It's being turned into an actual animated TV show.
Tell you what, they struck gold with that franchise when it had such unique art style for such a challenging game. It got enough buzz that franchise is set. You make a Cuphead 2, it's going to sell. It's going to be good. It's going to be all good. But now we've got an animation of Cuphead, and we've got figures of Cuphead. We've got pop vinyls of Cuphead. Cuphead is a money spinner, and he has his fill of Cuphead merch, no doubt, on the way.
And it lends itself well, I think, to rejuvenating that old style of animation. So I'm excited to see. I'm hoping that the animation's actually decent. You know, a lot will hinge on the writing.
It does have a bit of the look of the, how do I even explain it? Like the new DuckTales. It looks a bit like that combined with the old school
Yeah, because they're
animation
not
that
going to do it
copies.
as old school because that would be unbelievably time consuming. So it's a sped up process of animation to look old fashioned and slow. Oh, that's kind of
Old fashioned and slow. Those two words, those just sums me up these days.
Another video game that could potentially be seen on our TV screens is Disco Elysium. Is in talks for an adaptation into a TV series. It's not been confirmed. It's not in production, but it's just in the process of being, discussed and argued and fought over by fellow producers and the like.
Man, I forgot all about Disco Elysium. That was something that was on my hit list. It still is, obviously, but it's hard to get around to new games sometimes when new games keep interrupting new games. There's going to be no shortage of games. Cyberpunk had a big reveal thing this week as well.
Yes.
5 hours of game play is what people got to experience in the press. They were very impressed. The press were impressed.
Lucky press who actually get press stuff sent to them. That's awkward. We don't have time or energy for that stuff.
That's right. We would not be reliable official game reviewers at this point.
Oh, we should just start a new channel, the Delirious Parents Reviews.
40 minutes of me nodding off while playing Sonic Heroes.
What was I saying? Oh, I've been standing at the same spot for half an hour. Sorry, guys. Oh, man. Some slightly sad news. It's Nintendo related, but it's more theme park related with USJ, Universal Studios in Osaka, Japan. They have decided to postpone its opening. It's kind of, I would assume, pretty much ready to open. The park itself has reopened just recently, but because of the limitations, I believe only those that kind of live in that prefecture are allowed to go to the theme parks currently. And with international travel pretty much banned almost globally, they are postponing the opening of Super Nintendo World to next year, probably to coincide with the Olympics delay as well.
Well, we know how much that Mario loves his Olympics. He's visited them enough.
I wonder if they'll re-release a game and have it with the 2021 instead of the 2020 cover.
It's an interesting little trivia point that Sonic and Mario at the Tokyo Olympic Games is a video game based off an Olympics that is not going to happen when it was supposed to. So
I wonder if those games will become collector's edition kind of thing because of what's happened. You never know.
I don't know.
I'm interested to see if that will either they'll be worthless or they'll be worth a lot. One or the other.
Well, we should buy like 1,000 copies just in case.
No. I'm not willing to take that gamble. It'll be turnips all over again. Because of Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I know. I've never invested in turnips successfully.
Oh, dear.
Well, there we go. It has been an eventful few weeks.
It has.
Lots going on. We're playing games as parents. I don't believe it. People told me it would end.
Well, it's certainly not been anywhere near the level of what it used to be as far as hours spent in video games.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of times where I've had the time to play games, but I've chosen to have a nap instead because I really needed it. So that is life now.
That is life now.
Yes.
You think that only getting 4 hours sleep would mean you get more time during the day, but no, apparently not.
Keeping another human alive is very time-consuming, but worth it. One day he will learn how to play video games with us, and then we'll be fighting over the consoles with him. Yay.
Yay. Great.
So I'm guessing for gaming goals for this coming fortnight.
No, not Fortnite. Not playing that. I'm an Apex Legends man myself.
No,
I'm
very
not
funny.
even that either. I'm a nothing. It will be The Last of Us Part 2. Mm-hmm. I intend on finishing that as soon as possible, as long as my child and my brain will allow me to. That is the plan for me. Mm-hmm. And once I beat that, then that's the big question. I feel like I need to play something lighter and fluffier after that.
Light and fluffy.
So we will see what awaits me. Mm-hmm. There are so many games that I want to play. And I guess I'll just spin the roulette wheel, roll the D20 and find out what's next. Mm-hmm. But The Last of Us Part 2 is getting my full attention, except for when I can't actually physically play games, in which case it will not get my attention. I just want to make it clear that there are more important things in my life than video games. Like looking after a small human. Human small fat.
One of his new nicknames. For me, Dragon Age Inquisition has been very good to me and my tired brain, so I will be continuing with that. Overcooked 2, and maybe some more Disneyland adventures.
What? Are you serious?
Let's bring over family and continue the Disney fun.
Did we get the annual pass, or do I have to pay for it again?
We own it. Disney is in our house, so unlimited access, baby.
Game of the year.
I really am. I have to admit, I am enjoying it more than I thought I would. So,
well, this is usually when I say something like, "Let's get out of here. Let's finish recording because I'm going to go play some games." No. I'm probably going to go fall asleep on the floor as soon as I exit this booth. So we will see you when we see you. Thank you very much for joining us. The Gaming Lovers, out.
Sayonara.
Chowski.
Thanks for listening to the Gaming Lovers podcast. For more episodes or to watch some live stream gaming, visit thegaminglovers.com.